I have to remember to look way up there.
Hey, Derek, welcome back to the show, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on. It's nice to talk
Absolutely.
to you face to face. It's been a couple of years since we've seen each other.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. So for those of you listening, you haven't met Derek yet. If you haven't listened to episode number 37, where we interviewed him about cover design, Derek Murphy is the best-selling author of several books, including a couple new novels. One's called Shearwater, just came out on Amazon. Derek has a wealth of experience in the publishing business, doing everything from being a professional editor to doing professional cover designer with some amazing book cover designs. He's also a consultant, a keynote speaker. He's also a best-selling nonfiction author and now a best-selling fiction author and novelist as well. Derek, it's good to have you, man.
Yeah, that's a long intro. It's kind of hard to talk about what I do because I do so many different things. I've had people say, like people follow me on Facebook, and I've gotten comments like, I don't really know what you're all about because you're jumping from fiction, like you're promoting your fantasy young adult stuff and then business stuff or course launches. So some people are a little confused. I think my brand is very wide and diverse, but mainly it's been focused on publishing for many years. So almost everything I do revolves around books, which is a nice topic. I like book people, so it's fun to connect with more people who like books.
Totally. Agreed, man, for sure. So, recently you got into publishing fiction, right? Which is kind of new for you. I mean, as a cover designer, I know you designed some amazing fiction covers for years, but you just started publishing your own fiction books. So can you tell us about that process and that journey?
Yeah, I think it's harder. Someone asked me recently whether fiction or nonfiction sells better, and I said fiction sells about 10 times as much as nonfiction, which I still think is generally true, just because fiction readers, they read so many books and they read so much faster. Nonfiction readers, they may buy a few a month, but they may not actually get through them, whereas fiction readers might buy 10 and they'll just consume all of them and then they'll be hungry for another one. I also find they're a lot more loyal. So if you can get someone who likes your fiction, they'll just keep buying. You don't have to convince them to buy more fiction. It's an easy sell because they want more of that experience. So I wanted to write fiction for a long time, and it's hard. It's challenging to write a novel, but I finally forced myself. I did it kind of weird. Last year I put out 4 half novels, which not everybody likes. So instead of finishing a whole novel, I just left it on a cliffhanger halfway through, and I said, you can sub to my website if you like more. Please let me know what you think. So that some people don't like that, and I have a lot of reviews that are like, I love this book, but I hate that it's only a half, and I hate the way the author's doing it. But generally, they satisfy. Like if I can get people to get to the half of the book and want to read more and be disappointed that there's not more, that's a huge win for me. So I was just trying to be able to make the kind of experience, especially with Kindle Unlimited, like you need to keep them reading. As long as you can, it's not so much about the sale, it's if you can keep them reading longer, you'll earn a lot of money in page reads. So that's kind of my goal. And now finally, I put out 3 or 4, I made some money right away, but then I put them all out on perma-free because I didn't want to actually be marketing or advertising or anything. And the nice thing about perma-free is that your readers just find you and it's easy. So I was building my platform for about 6 months, not earning any money, but I built a big email list. I got a lot of reviews on Amazon. And now it's kind of tricky, but now I'm finishing up all those half books. So on the one hand, like on one of them, instead of having the half book that's perma-free and then putting out a new project for the fiction for the full book, which is kind of my plan, sometimes I'll just update that half book and I'll say, this was the half book. That's like all the reviews say that, but now I've updated it with a new cover and this is the full book now. Because what I found is if something has been on perma-free for a while and then you switch it to paid, the rank actually sticks really well. So I have some books, one of my novels, it's been under 2,000 on the Amazon store for the last month, I think, without doing any promotion or marketing. And this is a book, it's not a new book. It's not that 30-day cliff or whatever. This has been out a year and it's still, without advertising, it's sticking under the top 2,000. So that's pretty awesome for me. I'm really excited about that. Once, my goal is actually just to make $100 a month per book, because if I could do that and put out 30 books, then I'd be fine. I'd be making a living. But this book's earning a couple thousand a month, I think. So if I could put 10 more books out like that and keep that rank up, I'm really excited about, earning potential. I think the nice thing about fiction too is just that I don't know if it scales more than nonfiction. I just feel like people aren't as excited about nonfiction. So even if they really like your book, even if they really want to support you, it's not the same kind of excitement that fiction fans, they really like, they love the story. And so they're a lot more eager to tell people about it or to share it. So I think like publishing fiction, nonfiction, I don't think they're that huge of a difference. I think writing fiction is definitely a major challenge. That's a very different process than writing nonfiction. But in regards to book marketing and building an author platform and trying to get visibility and traffic to your books, that's kind of the same thing. So I've been able to use, like, I learned all these skills for nonfiction, and that's great because I use my nonfiction to build my business. But I'm using the same skills for fiction now. And the nice thing about fiction is I just think I'll be able to make so much more profit with novels. So that's exciting.
Cool. Hey, your mic's moving in and out. So can you just make sure it's like stays in the same place?
Shit. Okay.
Or your audio is more consistent. Cool, man. So you made a lot of good points there. One of them was, about like the lifetime value of your customer, right? You said, if you can just get one customer reading your book, fall in love with your book, they're going to buy essentially all of your books, right? And you also mentioned, this kind of long-term point of view where you had your first book out, it was perma-free for 6 months. You basically weren't making any money for 6 months, but you said it was okay because I was building my list, I was getting reviews, right? And building your fan base and building more readers. And I think that's a great mindset that a lot of folks don't have. They think, well, if I don't make $1 million in 6 months, or if I don't, earn back all my investment in 6 months, I might as well quit. It's not worth it. Because you were like, yeah, I'm willing to like not make any money for 6 months because I know I'm building up my success for the long term.
Right. The funny thing is a lot of people were skeptical, especially when I started. They're skeptical about the half books, which they didn't think was a good idea. And then they're very skeptical about giving away the books for free or doing perma-free, because a lot of indie authors, they'll say, I'm training my readers to not buy books. I'm training my readers to expect free books. And that's the argument they make. So they think a free book won't translate to a paid book because I'm building an audience who's only interested in the free book. That's not true. You see it, companies offer free stuff all the time to get you hooked. I'm happy to give away free stuff. If I can't get them hooked enough to want to buy the rest of the story later, then that's a failure. Like, I don't deserve any money if I can't entertain them enough to want to pay for it. Because otherwise you're just asking for handouts. Like if my story doesn't entertain, if my nonfiction book doesn't educate, I don't deserve to get paid for that. So I'm fine giving it away for free, because if I can get them to want more, then they will be happy to pay for it. Readers pay for books all the time. They just don't want to spend money on something new that they've never heard of. They don't want to risk spending money on an author that they don't know, because they might be disappointed. But once you've proven your value, and once they know that you can deliver, whether nonfiction or fiction, then they're happy to pay for it. So it's really just the free thing in the beginning. And it's just an easy way to reach readers. The other thing I see happening a lot is that authors, they'll say, I refuse to give the book away for free. I'm going to charge $2.99 or whatever. But then they'll spend $5,000 on advertising or marketing and other things that, like, they have to work so hard to try to sell a couple books to keep their rank up. And as soon as they stop spending that money, because they're not doing the long-term stuff. Like I focus a lot on keywords and traffic and visibility so that my books stick without doing marketing. But most authors, they think marketing and promotion is just going out there and telling people about your book. And the problem with that is it's not sustainable. So you spend your $5,000 and you get a lot of people, they don't want to do it themselves. So they just want to spend money on someone else. They want to just pay someone else to market their books for them. But once that money's gone, if you're just doing that kind of advertising or promotion, when the budget dries up, then there's nothing permanent. Like most of those, maybe you've done some Twitter blast or advertising, or you're featured on somebody's blog for a couple weeks or something. But once that's gone, there's no, the web that you've built to bring in readers has disappeared. And so you'll have to keep spending money to keep your rank up, or else your book is invisible, which is what I don't do. I launched a book. I'm launching a book tomorrow, and I'm not going to tell anybody about it. I might email my list. I have a pretty big list I've built through book giveaways, and that's really useful to have. But actually, like this book, it's been on pre-order. So on the one hand, I'll put the book up for pre-order. There's probably a few hundred sales, so I'll see how the rank is doing. But actually, the first half book has been on perma-free for 6 months. Probably if I just, instead of putting the book up as a new project, if I just replace the perma-free book and get rid of that new project, the perma-free book that I've had, once it switched to paid, I think the rank will stick a lot better. So I'm going to test both and kind of see which one keeps the rank up higher. But those kind of things, like if you build your platform the right way, if you build the things, if you're building content that attracts your readers, if you're building a funnel that's kind of permanent, those are long-term strategies. And then you don't really have to do any book marketing or any book promotion, which is, there's so much competition. There's so many people who are doing the same kind of marketing. Like there's so many people on Twitter blasting about their book. Readers just tune it out because they're not interested in that kind of stuff. So it's hard to get their attention. And really the best thing is just being on Amazon. If you show up on Amazon, when people search for stuff, people search for mermaids, they find my book right away on the first page. So that's, I don't have to do any marketing to promote them. Amazon wants to be able to show your book to the right readers. So that's not actually that hard to do. The funny thing is just most authors, they don't put their book on the right shelf, which just means, like if someone's writing nonfiction, self-help, or a diet book, even like they're writing a diet book, if you don't have, this is a diet book, or how to lose weight, or how to stop binge eating, if you don't have those keywords in your description, it won't show up when anybody's searching. And I know a lot of fiction authors, especially, they describe the story, but they don't insert any keywords. So they don't have any genre keywords. They don't use any other books or any authors that are similar to theirs, because they're not going to be searching for your book because they don't know who you are. So you have to be using the keywords that they're searching for so that you show up. And I see a lot of authors, that's not something they think about when they launch a book. And it's so important.
Yeah, totally. The thing with the keywords too, especially for fiction, is not only, like if you leave that out of your description, not only is your book not going to rank well for those keywords in search, but for me, I find it's like I do a ton of market research on Amazon. So I'm always looking at bestsellers in different categories when we do market research for a new book. And it is so frustrating for me when I look at a book description for like this best-selling novel on Amazon, and I read the book description and I have no idea what kind of book it is. Like, is this apocalyptic thriller? Is this like, and you can kind of look at the categories, but even the categories aren't necessarily going to tell you exactly what kind of book it is, right?
Right, which is frustrating because on the one hand, like it's great that they're doing so well, but we don't know why. Like maybe they're doing a lot of advertising, or maybe they just got lucky. But like I told this guy a few days ago, he said he'd sold a lot of copies, but he wanted to pay someone for marketing. And I said, well, you don't have any keywords in your description. I can rewrite your description and probably double your sales. But he wasn't interested because that's not book marketing for him. He thought book marketing is having someone go out and promote the book. But especially like even if you're doing pretty well by luck or however, on the one hand, if you don't have those keywords, you're not showing up in the search results. But on the other hand, like you said, readers don't know what the book is about. So you're losing so much conversion if they can't like look at the cover. The cover is one thing, but the cover should give a good indication of the genre. But even if it doesn't, the description, it's not just about the story, it's positioning. You have to tell the readers whether this book is for them and what it's similar to, and you have to include the keywords that they're looking for. Because otherwise, if they don't know what the book is about, I see a lot of people, they'll cram their description with like a lot of reviews. So all the reviews will say, this is an amazing book, I loved it, but you still don't know what the book is about, or like, and that's so important, and that's a huge part of conversion. So, I mean, on the one hand, you have to get seen, you have to get the visibility, which is hard enough to keep your rank up or whatever. But on the other hand, you need to, when people see you, they have to know what the book is about enough to want to buy it, to check it out. And it's tricky. Like, I'm not that great at blurbs. My blurbs aren't super either. But they can always be improved. I think a lot of people, they put up their book and they just forget about it and they just focus on book marketing. And they don't realize that like just tweaking your description a little bit could double your sales, because you'll get more visibility and more conversion. And that's so much more important and so much easier than like, doing advertising or things like that. Because if you don't have that stuff set up, you're just wasting money on Amazon because your conversion is going to be so much lower.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, you make a great point about conversions. I think it's such an important thing that every author should be focused on, is how well is your book converting, right? And like you said, if you double your sales by rewriting your book description versus doubling your sales with advertising, if you double your sales by rewriting your book description, you're probably going to double your sales forever, like for the next 100 years. Whereas if you double your sales with advertising, as soon as you stop that ad spend, your sales are going to go back down. Right. And also you have, of course, the cost of actually advertising your book. So the profitability is going to be way, way higher. And the other thing I think about conversion that's so important for people to understand is that on Amazon, they want to promote their best books to readers.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're constantly measuring your conversions. They're constantly measuring the conversions of every single page, every single search result on the website. And so if you can increase your conversions by just 1%, by just a tiny little bit, sometimes that tiny little increase in conversions can mean the difference between Amazon sending out an email to 1,000 readers about your book, or featuring your book in some kind of special promotion or so forth, just because your conversions are a little bit better. So small changes can make a huge difference in your sales, especially for a book that's already selling pretty well.
Right, because it already has the visibility, so all you need to do, and the nice thing about conversion too is it's, I forget the word, but it'll keep scaling up. So like maybe you increase your conversion 10%, which isn't that great. Maybe you used to sell 100 copies a day, and now you sell 110, but those extra 10 copies will boost your sales rank and give you more visibility, and then you'll get 20 sales, and then the next day it'll go up and you'll get more visibility. So it's not just like a one-time thing, that a little bit of conversion can just keep going, kind of keep getting higher and climbing up, which is really exciting, because like my Scarlet Thread is still not great. The description is still not super, but I when I launched the free version last year, the covers were pretty good. I just redid all my covers, so now it has like a super fancy, I guess dark fantasy. It's just a very beautiful young adult dark fantasy cover. So that's working really well. Generally, what I try to do with my books is get them to stick in the same place. So if I'm not doing any promotion and the rank sticks the same, that's great. Then I'm doing really well, because like even if it sticks at 20,000 or 10,000, I know if I can promote it up to 5 or 2,000 or whatever, hopefully it'll keep sticking. But ideally, it should climb. So it should keep going up without promotion. So if you can get it to be around the 10,000 range and people are actually seeing it, if the conversion's good enough, it'll keep climbing up. Eventually, like it tends to plateau or peak somewhere. Like I said, I'm really happy mine right now is peaking in around, it's under 2,000. So if I could get all my books to stick there, that'd be great. But actually, I haven't had any trouble getting things to stick under 10,000. I think you're still making money at 10,000. So especially this new one, the other nice thing about fiction is it's so long. So my nonfiction book that I just put out is like 150 pages, which is like, I don't know, it's like 30 or 40,000 words. But this mermaid one, Shearwater, that's coming out tomorrow is 140,000 words. So even if I'm selling it for 99 cents, and I found this with Scarlet Thread, like I tried testing 99 cents or $2.99, because generally the idea is you price it $2.99 and then you price post at 99 cents with some promotion or advertising to keep the rank up high. But I tested both, and 99 cents, my rank stayed high anyway, but I'm getting paid so much in page reads, it doesn't really matter that I'm not making as much at 99 cents because it keeps my visibility higher. So I'm excited to see with Shearwater, because it's twice as long. It's a huge novel. So I think I'll get paid pretty well in page reads as long as I can keep the rank up higher.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a really good point, right? Because the average novel is much, much longer than the average nonfiction book. And so, when Amazon changed the way that they pay out when people borrow your book, they change it so the more pages they read, the more you get paid, out of that big pool of like $20 million a month that they have, right? And so if you got a 140,000 word novel, I mean, you're going to get paid like $2-3 for like a full read of that book, which is a lot of money, which is more than you would make than if you sold the book for like $3.99 on Amazon, right? So a 99-cent book, you can actually make more money on it because of a page read than selling that book for $5. So a lot of people, say, hey, I'm not going to sell my book for less than $6. But in a situation like that, you're just shooting yourself in the foot and throwing money away by pricing your book too high.
And it's a bit of a credibility thing. Like if you only have nonfiction books and if they're 99 cents, a lot of nonfiction readers can still think that it's, there's a value thing. Like if it's only 99 cents, they'll think it's not as good quality or whatever. So if you're doing it just for branding or business, you might want to price higher. But with nonfiction, it's kind of, I've put a lot of my nonfiction books for perma free, but I don't think nonfiction readers look in the free store for books, so they just don't notice that they're there, because there's not very many nonfiction authors giving away perma-free books. So like my book marketing book is number 1 in 3 categories. It's number 1 in like business or advertising or something, because there's not that many business books that authors are giving away for free, which should give me a lot of visibility, except like I'm number one, that's awesome. But I don't think readers of nonfiction books look in the free store at all. So it's just, they don't really notice it's there. So for my new book, like I'll probably keep it paid just because, and like I'll keep it at $2.99 just because people they respect it a little more if it has a reasonable price on it. But yeah, visibility is really the most important thing. So if you're at $2.99 and nobody's seeing it, it doesn't matter. Like it's invisible. The price doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, that's a really good point. If you're not selling any books, your price doesn't matter at all, right? Like, I mean, it's so important to build up the fan base. And I think a lot of authors underestimate the power of having fans who love you, love your books, and can't wait to read your next book. And even if you only write, one book every year, one book every 2 years, having those fans over the span of your career is going to make a huge difference in your income and a huge difference in your sales. And you have to, like you said, you have to get that exposure. You have to get kind of like over that hump, right? Mm-hmm. Where you go from just some author that only a couple of people read a month to books like yours are selling thousands of copies a month, right? That's a big hump to get over, and it can seem like it's so insurmountable. But if you start off with that mindset that I'm just going to build one customer at a time, I'm going to offer my books for free or 99 cents to just build up the momentum, I think you'll get there a whole lot faster.
And it's also just on the one hand, you just keep publishing more books because things just kind of take off. Like you'll get more Amazon followers if people like your content. And then every time you launch a new book, Amazon will automatically promote it for you so that your followers will see it. So that can be like a snowball effect. On the other hand, a lot of that stuff you can do, like you don't have to wait for that stuff to happen. I just set up a giveaway for my book launch, and I'm doing it like very soft. So I'm not really promoting it, but to win like a free mermaid tail or some copies of the paperback, my readers can follow me on Amazon. So I just made a Gleam giveaway. Gleam is like, there's a few things I use for giveaways. King Sumo is great for collecting emails, but Gleam, GLEM, is really good for if you want them to multitask. So if they want to win the prize, they have to, or they can follow me on BookBub, because I want to see if having more followers makes it easier for me to get accepted for a BookBub ad, but then also follow me on Amazon and then also tweet about my book. I could ask them to leave a book review and get like 20 extra entries or whatever. There's a lot of things, like if you want people to take action, Gleam giveaways are a really good way to get them to do a lot of things at once. So because I built up my big list, I have a list of like 20,000 young adult readers that I built with book giveaways, but now that they're there, and they don't all want my books and they might just want free stuff, but I can still get them to take action on stuff. So I can, for example, get them to follow me on Amazon because I have a suspicion that if I have a lot of followers, it might help my sales rank. I don't know if that's true, but it could be true. Same thing with BookBub. Like it may not make a difference, but I have a suspicion that if I have a lot of followers on BookBub, they might take that into consideration when I'm applying for a BookBub ad, which are really hard to get. Especially for fiction, BookBub is kind of like the holy grail. So they're expensive, but you can sell so many copies. Every other like cheap or low cost book promotion stuff, you can, if you pay for a 99-cent promotion or something, you might sell 10 or 20 copies. So if you advertise on 10 different sites, you might sell 100 copies at 99 cents, which is great because it boosts your rank. But with BookBub, you can sell like 1,000 copies and get to the top of Amazon. So it's worth, you have to keep applying for BookBub because they're selective. But I think if you have more BookBub followers, it might make it easier to get those kind of ads. So there's definitely things like you should be putting out more books. It always gets easier the more books you put out. On the other hand, you don't have to wait for things to just like for you to reach that tipping point. You can deliberately build things into your author platform that makes it easier for your books to get visibility.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So I love that you're testing out so many different things and just trying to be like, okay, well, if I get more BookBub followers, is that going to help? If I get more Amazon followers, is that going to help? And I like the idea of that Gleam giveaway because basically, like, I assume how it works is like if they, follow you on BookBub, they get extra points for the giveaway, so they're more likely to win, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so instead of like, I like King Sumo because it shares better. So for King Sumo, they sign up and then they can share it with Twitter or Facebook to get more entries. And that's good because you're getting more, like I use targeted Facebook ads on Facebook for the giveaway. So I do that to reach a bunch of people, and then they see I'm giving away free stuff, so they like my Facebook page. And then also when they share the giveaway, they'll tag tag me on Twitter with my hashtag. So I'm getting a lot of likes and followers on social media and building a huge email list from book giveaways. So I think that's great for fiction and nonfiction. I haven't done a lot for nonfiction, but for like any topic, you can give away 10 nonfiction books in your genre or your topic, like the best-selling stuff, and then target the people who like those books and build a big list. You can also, like what I usually do, I don't remember if we talked about this last time, but like I'll have my top 10 best-selling business books of 2017 or whatever. I'll put that giveaway together. I'll put it up on my blog, and then I'll tell all those authors that I featured them as my favorite book on my blog. And if it's a good piece of content, they'll probably share it with their audience. So then I have these 10 authors sharing my content to their followers to win their books and building an email list and building my followers. It's a really easy kind of hack to build a platform. But then I just use that list and say, hey, my book is out. Does anybody want it? That's easy to do. It's a little like it seems, I think it's easier for nonfiction authors to understand it. A lot of fiction authors are still skeptical about these kind of things just because it seems too businessy. A lot of writers, a lot of fiction writers, anything that's too businessy or marketing, they feel like it's sketchy. So they feel like, if I was really just a good writer, my books would just take off and I wouldn't need to do all these marketing hacks to sell books. So I get that. I get skepticism a lot from authors, but especially fiction authors who are not afraid of, but they're resistant to book marketing because they don't really get it, or they think it's all spam. Basically, they think it's all just like lying. A lot of people, it's weird. Somebody said on Twitter recently, like they follow me and they like following me because I'm such a good salesman and I can sell wool to sheep. And I thought that was almost insulting because I don't want to be selling shit that people don't need because I'm a good salesman and like convincing them that they want it. So you want to be good at getting visibility. You want to put your content in front of the right people, but it shouldn't be a sale. Like if it's the right people and you have a good product, it should be an easy sell. You shouldn't have to convince them to buy it. The main thing is just packaging and positioning your book so that it's attractive and then putting it in front of the right readers. If you do that, like that's what I consider to be marketing, but most people don't. They think marketing is promoting and sharing and like selling to people, which doesn't really work for books.
Yeah, definitely. I love that hack, like that idea of like creating this blog post, top 10 authors in your genre or your niche or whatever, giving away a copy of each of those books to your followers, emailing the authors, telling them about it, that you're giving away their book. It's like a win-win for everyone, right? The authors are so happy because you're promoting their books, you're giving their book away for free, you're getting them a ton of extra exposure for free.
Right.
And then the readers are like, hey, we're getting like 10 free books. Like, that's so cool. And then you're building your email list and getting a ton of traffic and a ton of links back to your website. It's like a no-brainer. I mean, I'm going to start adopting it. That's a brilliant idea.
It works so well. And yeah, it's basically, a lot of fiction authors, they'll be like, but aren't you basically using other people's work to build your list? But like you said, you're really just doing promotion for them. Like for other authors, they probably aren't, because any kind of like giveaways, they get a lot of traffic. People like them. And also, it's easier to share content if it's a group project. So if you have 10 authors, it's a big giveaway, and they're all sharing the same piece of content. Like those 10 authors are really just working together to get more visibility for their book. And then I'll usually also do something like after I've done my giveaway, after I've given away the 10 books, I'll probably say, if you still want those books, make sure you check out these books, and I'll send the link out to the new list I bought just to make sure that I'm promoting those authors too. Because I also want them to, I want them to see a boost in sales if I do something like that, so that they can say, oh, I got a big boost in sales. Derek must have actually sold some copies with his giveaway. That's great, because like, especially if I'm starting out with no platform and I want to make relationships with other peers who are writers in my genre, I want to make sure I can be providing value so that they can, I don't want to be asking for favors like, hey, I'd like to give away a copy. I wouldn't like ask for them to donate a copy or anything like that. Although I might say, because I want to build that relationship, I might email them and say, I would like to buy a signed copy. Would you be willing to do that? Most of them will. And if not, you can just buy it on Amazon and just say, I'm going to give away a copy of your book to my followers because I really liked it. And I really think, my followers will appreciate it. And you can mention if you have a big list or whatever. It's an easy way. Like, you want to start making those relationships, but you don't want to ask for favors, and you don't want to make it a pain in the ass, which is why I usually don't like. A lot of authors they'll do a group giveaway, and they'll do it all together, and they'll share the list, and they'll all pitch in. I think that's a lot of work to organize, and it's kind of a pain in the ass for everybody. So I would rather just do it all myself and keep the list. I don't have to share the list with the other authors. I'll use it a little bit to promote their stuff, but yeah, I'm doing all the work. I'm spending the money on the ad, so I use the list mostly to keep for my own. It's a great hack. It works so well, and I've been doing it for like a year. But it's starting to become more popular. But I think it's underused, and it's not done very well, especially in fiction. A lot of people they do a big giveaway, but then they split the list. So all the people who signed up to the giveaway start getting spammy emails from 20 or 30 authors, and unsubscribing from everybody. So I think that's not great. But if I have the list, I can control that experience, and I can make sure I'm building that relationship the right way.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really brilliant. So have you found any cool ways to get traffic to giveaway? Because I know like blog giveaways are huge, and they've been huge for like over a decade. I mean, when I started blogging like 10 years ago, I remember there were bloggers doing giveaways, and they would get like millions of visitors every time they would do a giveaway, and like hundreds of comments. But if you have a new blog, you don't have any traffic, you're not really ranking well on Google. Like, how do you actually get traffic to the giveaway other than having other authors promote you? Have you found there's like sites or tricks or tips for getting more traffic to the giveaway?
It depends on what kind of traffic you want. Because what you don't want is there's a bunch of giveaway sites, and they just list free shit. And there's a lot of people who just sign up for free shit. It's a whole industry. So there's a lot of websites that just list the giveaways. If you're listed on those giveaways, you'll get thousands of emails, but they'll all be spammy people who don't actually want what you have to offer. They just want free stuff. So I'll probably look for Facebook groups around the topic, or especially if hopefully the authors will share. So they'll share on Twitter or Facebook, but then mostly I'll use targeted Facebook ads. So with Facebook, I can say people who like business, and people who like these authors, and people who like these keywords like startups or entrepreneurs. I can put the giveaway in front of them on Facebook. And once you get it started, people usually share if it's a really good giveaway. So if it's a good giveaway and it has 10 best-selling books that they're already familiar with, they already like those authors, most people will share a giveaway. They'll be like, wow, this is really cool. Especially the nice thing about giveaways is that, especially like King Sumo, you get more chances to win the more you share it, because you get credits when other people sign up. So all you have to do is get it started and put it in front of some people. But if it's a big enough prize, they'll share it because they want to win, and they'll share it more and more. So what I'll usually do, like I'll spend maybe $100 on Facebook ads to get the list up to maybe 500 or 1,000, and then I'll email them and say, you still have another week. If you really want to win, you can share this on Twitter or Facebook. And I'll really tell them, I'll do it too when I'm boosting my post on Facebook. I'll be really clear about what they have to do. And I'll be like, you have to share if you want more entries, and also leave a comment, because if I'm boosting a post on Facebook, if I can get people to comment on like which book they've already read or which book they want to read, those comments, because it's getting engagement, Facebook will share my boosted post to more people with less cost. So that way, if I'm getting them commenting and I'm explaining the rules, I'll have quite a bit of reach with my giveaway. And then once it gets started, other people share for me to their friends. So that's why they work really well. I like them. I might do a couple things. Like I did one for the castle and I'll probably do it this year too. It's just, you have a giveaway, like win a free writer's retreat in a castle. It's an exciting, like big idea, even though, as I found out, very few people can actually go live in a castle. So it was actually hard for me to get people who could come to stay in a castle with me. But people love the idea of it. So they'll sign up because it's a cool idea, and then they can be updated for news or whatever. But for you especially, and I'll probably start doing this too, but doing like a $2,500 publishing services package where you do the cover design, the formatting, and some marketing, because you can give away that kind of stuff because you know how to do those kind of services. But that's something that authors will really share because it's really valuable for them, and they'll share it with their writing friends. Recently, Nick Stevenson and I think Nick Stevenson. It's Reedsy. What's his name? Franco, I want to say, who runs Reedsy, has been doing big giveaways. Like I think they did like win a free audiobook, like $5,000 in ACX credit. So it's a free audiobook giveaway, which really attracts authors. So they all sign up for the giveaway. And then he's got this big list of authors who might buy his services. So giveaways, yeah, they work really well it's so much easier marketing to try to get people aware of you and what you're doing. I think most people, like, it makes more sense if you're doing business because you can spend a lot and have a big prize and build a big list. But it works for fiction really well too, because it's so targeted. So I can give away 10 mermaid books and I'm only attracting young adult readers who really want to read mermaid books because nobody else is going to want 10 mermaid books. But then I have this list of perfect readers who I know will be interested in my book. So that can work really well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you run like the Facebook ads, can people sign up for the giveaway like on Facebook, or do they have to click through to your website to actually enter the giveaway?
They have to click through. King Sumo had, the other reason I like King Sumo is that it's not just on your website. It makes like its own page, because a lot of author websites especially are ugly. So if you're just using like Rafflecopter or Gleam or something that goes inside your website, but your website looks like crap, you're going to lose a lot of conversion because people will come and then they won't want to give you their email because they won't trust that you're professional because your website looks like shit. So if you on King Sumo, like, it just looks really good. It looks really professional. So you're going to get more conversion, which is really important. I think with Rafflecopter or Gleam, you can do it too. Like, rather than embedding it on your site, you can just put up a landing page. Generally, I think those will convert better unless you have a really nice looking site, but most authors don't.
Gotcha. That's a great tip. Awesome. Well, Derek, any last words of advice for folks who want to kind of break out in the fiction space?
Yeah, but the thing that we've been talking about in some of my groups recently has been basically writing to market, which is something we didn't really discuss. But especially in fiction, a lot of fiction writers are hesitant to write stuff that will sell because they think, a lot of fiction writers are stuck up on the quality. So they want to be like good writers. They want to have literary great content, which on the one hand means they're going to publish much slower because they're going to be paralyzed with fear for like 10 years, which is how most fiction authors get stuck with their first novel. But also, if you're just trying to write the book that you think you want to write and you're trying to make it as good as you can, and you're completely cut off from the genre or the readers, or like who actually reads that kind of book and who's going to want to read that kind of book, you're going to have a huge challenge when you publish because you're not going to know who you're trying to attract. And you may not have written a book for any audience. So if you've written a product that nobody really wants to read because you didn't consider the end reader, that's going to be the biggest difficulty for you to try to make money with your fiction. Whereas like friends of mine usually get to a point where you can decide to write books that sell. So I've done that intentionally, but a lot of authors, they don't start off trying to write books that sell. They try to write whatever they think is a good creative idea. And if you want to make a lot of money with fiction, you have to look at popular genres and see what's selling, and then not just assume that you're going to write something better. I see a lot of people who say like, Twilight was terrible, but I like vampires, so I'm going to write a much better vampire book. And they assume the readers will like it, but readers like Twilight for a reason. So you need to write something similar to Twilight if you want to be that successful. You can't just assume your better is what they're looking for, because better quality writing is usually not what readers actually are after. They're actually after story. So you need to focus on crafting the story that satisfies readers of a particular genre. That's really easy to do if you are deliberately writing to market and you want to learn how to do that. But if you are deliberately avoiding that because you want to make something new and creative and different, that's going to be your biggest challenge and frustration, because you're writing the wrong kind of product and kind of hoping that people like it. So I'm a big fan of plotting and also writing to market. I don't think it means that my stories are less creative or lesser quality. I think for me, for writing fiction, same with nonfiction, but I'm trying to provide value to as many people as possible. So I expect to make money because I'm deliberately providing value that certain readers will enjoy. consciously. I'm making that as a choice. That's my goal with publishing fiction, is to make a lot of readers happy. A lot of authors, their goal is to write the book that they want to write and make it good enough quality so that they're happy with it, but they don't really care whether anybody else likes it. And I think that's a choice. It's fine if that's what you do, but you just need to be aware that that's a choice that you're making. And it's a choice that most authors make, which is why most authors don't make any money with fiction. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Great advice. Really appreciate it. I think folks are going to love it and find this interview really helpful. So before you go, man, where can folks find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
Creative Indie is my main site. That's where I kind of put everything together. And then I have a bunch of sites just for like formatting and book design and other things that authors need.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Derek. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks. Nice talking to you again.